Hi, this is Jeff Henderson with another interview with notable club members. It's my pleasure to welcome today our immediate past Commodore, Sue Bowes, affectionately known to her friends as McSue. Welcome, Sue.
Oh, thank you, Hendo. I can use your nickname too.
You can indeed. With your broad Scottish brogue, obviously your roots aren't here in Australia to start off with. It would be nice if you could just tell the audience just a little bit about your early life in Scotland, ending up here in Australia.
And here I thought I had everybody convinced I was an Australian. Oh, I'm disappointed. You're right, Hendo. I don't hail from these beautiful parts of the world, but I was born in the west coast of Scotland in a very small village with about 2,500 inhabitants. I went to school there. I could ride horses before I could walk. I certainly didn't do much sailing. We were very much landlubbers. My brother came across to Australia. He emigrated in the 80s, and I came across for his wedding in 85 to Perth. He emigrated and settled in Perth. And I thought, wow, what a great place. And so I went back home, sorted out my papers, much to my parents' chagrin, and because that meant the two children were living in Australia so far away. I settled in Perth for about 15 years, and then I moved to Melbourne in about 2002 and came across this wonderful yacht club and people like yourself.
Fantastic. Well, getting down to the nitty-gritty, when did you really start sailing?
That's an interesting question. I started sailing by accident when I moved to Perth. After several glasses of wine, a friend of mine convinced me I should sail a boat from Perth to Portugal. So that was basically my baptism by fire into sailing on a beautiful Oyster 37. In those days, no navigational aids, just charts, the BBC World News, all that sort of stuff. So I took about 6 months to sail from Perth to Portugal, and gosh, I loved it.
Fantastic. You obviously made it, because here you are.
I did make it with lots of adventures on the way, but they can stay for another day.
Well, sailing really is all about adventures, isn't it, when all's said and done?
But then, you know, I started seriously in 2002 when I joined this wonderful yacht club.
Fantastic.
And had the great opportunity to sail with yourself.
Good, good. The club, when you first got here, what were your impressions?
Well, I walked in thinking I could just walk in and join, and young T put me on the straight and narrow and pointed me in the direction of a Thursday night. And then I actually officially became a member in December 2002. I was just in awe of the club. Obviously, it was the old clubhouse in what is now the car park. And I just in awe of sailing and the welcoming engagement from the members.
It's been always very much like that, hasn't it?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. Changes within the club. I know of late you've certainly been responsible for this lovely room we're sitting in here now. But you would have seen the new building, all sorts of things going on.
Well, we have. We've come from the old building to then the new building in 2009. Which obviously was a great vision from our General Committee and past Commodores. And now we've just gone through the transition with the development of the Members Bar and Bistro and now this beautiful foredeck area. It's a fabulous club, and I think the envy of any club within certainly Port Phillip and I would say Australia.
Well, this is a bit of a leading question and it may be a bit embarrassing, but what are the boats and who are the characters you've met while sailing here?
Wow, well, where do I start? I think I have to say I probably started with Geesty on Ruthless on a Thursday night. And then I was very fortunate to transition onto Rumbeat, Your Beautiful Far 1104, with a great group of characters. Yourself, Mido, Dennis, Guy, Gus, the whole crew. Keithy taught me so much about ocean racing and just good sailing etiquette. It was a fabulous time, and how to be very naughty off water as well.
They were a very naughty lot, but very good in giving people nicknames, hence McSue.
Absolutely.
That was Middo,
That
of
was
course.
Middo's fault, yes.
Oh, dear me. I'll go back to my list if I may. The highlights, off the water, on the water?
I think highlights off the water, as you know, I worked in the boating office. I managed the boating office for a period of time. It's supposed to be 3 months and turned into 15 months. Obviously, being Commodore, it's such a privilege and such an honour. And I was very fortunate with my timing coming out of COVID and managed, to get the stage 1 and 2 developments through, and also the J70. We launched the J70 programme. So that focus on youth sailing, for me, absolutely great highlights. But I think the biggest highlight is the friendships that you make at this club. I joined over 20 years ago and I knew nobody when I first came to the club, and the strength of friendships that you make, so important and so unique. I don't think there's anything I've experienced in the world that has that same camaraderie.
I have to agree with you there. It's quite remarkable, isn't it? It is indeed. Well, you've outlined your contribution to the sailing community, which has really been quite outstanding. And I have to think, going back over previous Commodores, in the time you've been, the 2 years you spent as Commodore, there's just so much has happened around this place that's all been very, very positive, and you must be very proud of it.
I am very proud. I'm very humbled too by the experience. It's been great, and very passionate about the club.
And the last question, what do you value most about your lifetime involvement in SYC and the sport of sailing?
It is definitely that feeling of team, that feeling of friends. I would say almost like a family. Very, very special. But it's also about the scary moments out in the water that you have, and you think, my goodness, I'm never doing this again. And then you're back out there. Absolutely. So, I think about Melbourne to Hobart, Sydney to Hobart, and the experiences that you have. Today's sailing is going to be quite a challenge. But it's just the thrill, the adrenaline of sailing itself, but it's definitely the people that make it.
I mean, with sailing, if you don't get a little bit scared, you have never been there, have you?
You haven't really tried, have you?
So that's fantastic. You really have made a really great contribution to the club. And from myself, and I think all our members, thank you very, very much for your contribution. It's been fantastic.
And thank you, Hendo. You taught me so much. I really do appreciate it. It's great fun. Thank you.
Good on you, Sue.